My name is Melissa Deely, and I'm an integrative health practitioner. I'm also a trainer of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, as well as timeline therapy and hypnotherapy. And today I want to talk to you about the power of your mind. That is your unconscious mind, which is the other 90% of your mind. And going through school and life, you're well aware of your conscious mind, and that's what they teach you in school to be using. However, you don't really learn much about your unconscious mind. And because it's the other 90%, it is incredibly powerful. And so I want to share just a tidbit of information in regards to this with you today so that you can start to understand the power of the thoughts that you have, of the words that you speak, etc., etc. And first of all, I want you to know that when we are born as if we are the hardware of a computer. And then we have to add the software to that hardware. And so over the next 7 to 9 years of our life, we are just in download, download, download mode, downloading all that we need to know in order to be able to live within our family unit, within our school, and know the rules of society, and be an upstanding citizen. And our unconscious mind, in fact, our entire mind is very clever. It wants to conserve energy because, we demand a lot of our mind every single day. And so when it develops strategies through this age group of 0 to 7 or 9 years old, if they work, it keeps doing them. Why reinvent the wheel if you don't have to, right? But here's the thing. What worked for you when you were a 5 or 6-year-old may not be working for you as a 25-year-old, a 35-year-old, a 45-year-old, or a 55-year-old. And you might be wondering why you're suddenly feeling stuck. And perhaps it's because you're coming up against a wall where that strategy that always worked before is simply no longer working for you. And the great news is that we can simply rewire your programming. And these are the tools of neuro-linguistic programming such that we can create new strategies for you so that you can continue to thrive in your life. You can break through that wall, we tear it down, and we create new strategies that support the person you are becoming. So I just want to let you know that. Now, I'm going to share my screen with you because I do want to talk more about the roles of our conscious mind and our unconscious mind. Now, this image is not to scale. As I said, the unconscious mind is 90% of your mind. It's the conscious mind that you are already more familiar with. It is your logical thinking, problem-solving mind. It is the mental part of your mind, whereas the unconscious mind is connected more to your emotions rather than your thinking mind. Now, your conscious mind is, as I said, in charge of problem solving and also goal setting. And then your unconscious mind, when it knows what the goal is, we call it the goal getter, in that it then goes after the resources needed in order for you to be able to achieve that goal. Your unconscious mind is so much more than just that, though. As I said, it's attached to your emotional body, and it also stores all of your memories. So for every memory, every experience that you've ever had in your life, it will store them as if it's a filing cabinet inside your mind, and it stores them without any judgment, every single experience you've ever had. And it also will suppress the memories of traumatic events until such time that it feels that it is safe for it to bring it up for the conscious mind to resolve. And so this is why military folk in war zones don't get PTSD when they're in the war zone. They get it when they come home, because now the unconscious mind feels like it's safe again. And so it will bring these memories up for the conscious mind to resolve. The unconscious mind is also in charge of keeping you alive every single day. Its number one task is preservation of your body despite what you might be doing to it. It keeps your heart pumping every second of every day. It keeps you breathing in and out every second of every day. It keeps your body digesting your food and getting those nutrients to your cells to give you energy every second of every day. And you don't give it a moment's thought because it is all unconscious and therefore outside of your awareness. Now, there's also something called the critical faculty, and it's this divider between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. And it's like lace, or it's supposed to be like lace to allow for easy flow between the conscious and the unconscious mind. However, when we aren't taught the tools of the unconscious mind, we don't know that they exist. We're not necessarily using them. This lace-like structure can become more like a concrete wall. And there's much less communication between the conscious and the unconscious mind. As with muscles, it's a use it or lose it type thing. But here's the beautiful thing. We can break down that concrete wall and get it back to being like lace as we teach you the tools of your unconscious mind and you start using them. Now, before we even get that far, I want to talk to you about this critical faculty because when it develops is really critical to understanding as well. It develops between the ages of 7 to 9 years old. So prior to that, there is no divider between the conscious and the unconscious mind in the child. And therefore, the child, when they are very, very young, they're really spending most of their time in their unconscious mind. Now, the other thing that the unconscious mind houses is your imagination. The conscious mind houses your willpower. But remember, that's only 10%. Your imagination is in the unconscious mind and it's the other 90%. And so when kids are playing cowboys and Indians and princesses and unicorns and all of these games that children love to play pretend when they're so young, they don't know the difference between pretend and reality because they're entirely in their unconscious mind and their unconscious mind doesn't know the difference. It's only when we get to the ages of 7 to 9, around when we start to develop logical thinking, that we start to develop this lace-like critical faculty. So that's just a mini introduction to the overview of your mind. And now I want to share with you the NLP communication model. And you can see on the left here, it says, you are literally creating your own reality every day. And if you don't like your reality, we can change it for you. You might be thinking, what? How am I creating my own reality every single day? Well, I'm going to explain that to you because when I learned this, it absolutely blew my mind. Now, what is happening each and every single day is that you are getting information into your eyes, your ears, your touch, like through your 5 senses, for every single experience that you ever have, and you are getting approximately 12 million bits per second of information into your unconscious mind through your senses every single second. Now, interestingly, just 20 years ago, it was only 2 million bits per second. So that's been an increase of 10 million bits per second in just 20 years. And that is due to all of our devices. It's television, it's our computers, our laptops, our iPads, and our phones. We always have information at our fingertips now. And guess what? That is far too much for your brain, your mind, to be able to deal with. And so what it does is it deletes, distorts, and generalizes down to a manageable amount. And that manageable amount is only 128 bits per second. So that is massive compression from 12 million to 128 bits per second. You can well imagine how much is deleted, distorted, and generalized out because your brain is going, don't need that, don't need that, don't need that, get rid of it. And what it chooses to keep and get rid of is based on your filters. Now, All human beings have the same filter categories. They are how we work with time, space, matter, and energy, as well as our language, our memories, our decisions, our meta programs. For instance, are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? Your values and beliefs, as well as your attitudes. And every single thing filed within your filters is as different and unique to you as your fingerprints. No two humans have the same fingerprints, and no two humans have the same files within their filter folders. Therefore, when we delete, distort, and generalize, what we come up with is unique to us. And what we come up with is what we call an internal representation, which is a fancy way of saying the movie screen of your life. If you think about it, every experience you've ever had, remember, your unconscious mind stores it without judgment. It's there for you to go back to as you need to. And you can pull up the movie screen of your life if you were just to close your eyes right now and think about the last vacation you went on, whether it was last week, last month, last year. You can pull up in your mind's eye an image of the place where you stayed, whether it be an Airbnb, your hotel, a family's home. You can pull that up. In fact, you can go right into that bedroom and you can see the bed in the room, where it's positioned in the room. You can see the artwork on the walls, the color of the bedspread. You can see where the door is to the room, where the windows are. We can all envision this. And that's our internal representation. Now, what's really interesting is that movie screen of our life impacts our state, which is how we feel. And that's why I very specifically asked you to go back to a vacation, because I'm hoping that was a happy time. And as you remember that vacation, you can feel sensations of happiness because that's a positive memory. Flow up and support that internal representation as you enjoy just being in that memory for a moment or two. Your state also impacts your physiology. There's a lot of science that has shown that happier people live longer, because happier people are less stressed. The less stressed we are, the healthier our gut is, the healthier our immune system is, and therefore we live longer. So if you're feeling happy based on a movie screen of your life, that is also impacting your physiology. Here's something you might never have heard of before. Your body is a robot of your mind. What your mind can conceive and can think, your body responds to. And I teach this all the time when I teach my hypnotherapy designation classes, as well as my learn hypnosis, self-hypnosis class. If I were to ask you to just close your eyes right now and imagine yourself walking into your kitchen, and you go into your kitchen and you open up the refrigerator door. And it's a really hot day. So as you open the refrigerator door, you welcome the cool air coming out and surrounding you. And you're thirsty. And you're thinking, what am I going to have to drink? And you then see a bright yellow lemon right there looking at you. And you think, I'm going to make some lemonade. And you grab that lemon out of the fridge. And you can feel the coolness of the flesh of that lemon. And you walk over to your kitchen counter and you grab a lemon juicer and you grab a cutting board and you grab a knife. And you slice that lemon in half. And as you slice that lemon in half, all of a sudden you get a whiff of that lemony smell. And some of the juices spill out of the lemon and onto your fingers. And now you really want some lemon. You don't even want to wait to make the lemonade. And so you cut that half of lemon in half again, and now you have a lemon wedge. And you bring that lemon wedge up to your mouth, and you can smell it. And you put it in your mouth, and you enjoy the coolness of it, and you take a bite of that lemon. And I'm going to ask you now to open your eyes and come back and tell me what happened. I'm willing to bet that your mouth started salivating. And you never had a lemon in your hand, you imagined all of it. And your imagination, your mind, your unconscious mind, remember that's where your imagination is housed, is so powerful. Your body had a biochemical reaction to you just thinking about eating that lemon, and your mouth started salivating. That is how powerful your mind is. So coming back to this NLP communication model, I want to talk to you about the tools that we use to tweak things when we need to. When you're in a position of not liking your reality, we can change it for you. So we have NLP tools and techniques that can change an internal representation for you. If there's a memory that you don't want to have anymore and it just brings up, bad feelings as a result of having that video, we can change that for you. We can eliminate it. We can shift how that memory unfolds for you in your internal representation and rewire your neurology so that you think about that differently in the future. We can also give you tools that can change how you feel in 5 to 15 seconds. We create anchors for you. If you are tired of feeling frustrated and annoyed, we can change it that when you start to have that feeling come on, you can tap your anchor and your body gets flooded with feelings of joy and happiness and love so that you don't have to feel those negative emotions anymore. We can rewire your neurology to map across a food that you like a little bit too much, and when every time you eat it, you intend to have just a little bit, like a bag of chips, and then you eat the whole bag. We can map that across to a food that you really, really dislike so that you no longer even want the food that you were eating too much of and you knew was unhealthy for you. Or if you have kids who hate doing their homework and love going out to play, we can rewire their neurology so they love doing their homework as much as they love going out to play. These tools are incredibly powerful. And those are just some examples of the NLP tools. We also have timeline therapy, which is a very powerful technique that helps us to get to the root of your negative emotions and release them for you, as well as getting to the root of your limiting beliefs, those voices in your head that you're not even really aware of, but they're running on that program from when you were 5 years old, telling you that you're not good enough or that you're not lovable, etc., that you're unworthy, that you're powerless. And we can change all of that using timeline therapy, and that starts to change your filters. And so once we change your filters as a result of doing timeline therapy, as you continue to go through your life and you have information coming in, that internal representation that shows up is different now because we've tweaked your filters and adapted them to who you are today. And then we also have hypnotherapy, and hypnotherapy is incredibly powerful because that is all about behavior change. So you can see a line that goes from state to behavior on this page, and we use hypnotherapy to change the behavior. Most people are trying to use willpower to create new habits, and then they fall off and they get mad at themselves and they think their willpower isn't strong enough, and why can't they do it? It's because they're coming up against old patterning, and willpower is only in the 10% of the conscious mind. We need to be using hypnotherapy to change the behavior, because with hypnotherapy, we're using imagination. We're using the unconscious mind, the other 90%, and we can easily and effortlessly create new behaviors that are better serving you today. So that's why these tools are so powerful, because you are literally creating your own reality every day, and we can use these tools to change it if you don't like what you're creating. Now, you might still be confused about how you're creating your own reality every day. So I'm just going to give you a quick little story so it becomes really obvious to you. 3 little girls were walking in a park, and a snake slithered across the path in front of them. And the first little girl went, "Ah!" and ran away. And the second little girl went, "Oh, someone's going to step on you." And she leaned down and she picked up that little snake and walked it over to the grass and gently put it in the grass so nobody walking on the path would step on the snake. And the third little girl went, "Huh," and did nothing. So the first little girl's filters had already taught her to be frightened of snakes, so she ran away. second little girl's filters had taught her that everything, no matter how big, small, slimy, or scaling, needs to be cared for. So she picked up the snake and moved it to the grass. And the third little girl didn't actually have any filters that dictated how she should respond to a snake. Yet, next time she will. And whichever one of those two girls created a bigger emotional response in her is going to be how she responds next time. So, 3 little girls, 1 event. The snake slithers across their path. Imagine sitting at their dinner tables that night as each little girl tells their parents about what happened that day. You can well imagine that the stories will be very different, and even if those parents know each other, they might not even think those 3 little girls were even in the same place. And so each of those little girls created their own reality in relation to the snake slithering across the path based on their filters. And this happens over and over again, thousands of times a day. And it literally blew my mind when I learned this. And I went, wait a minute. So if I go to a concert with 49,999 other people, I'm creating my own reality of that concert compared to everyone else. And the answer is yes. When I choose to tell someone else about that concert, I'm going to tell different things than even the friends that I went to the concert with. Yes, there might be some overlap, but it's not going to be exactly the same because I had my own unique experience at that concert and they had their own unique experience at the concert. Now think back to when you were a child and with your siblings. You probably went on the same holidays, attended some event, and now as adults, you might refer back to that and go, remember that time when we went to Hawaii on vacation and you start telling a story and they go, that's not what happened. This is what happened. And you're like, are you crazy? No. What are you talking about? Were you even there? Guess what? You were both there and you are both remembering based on your filters and your reality. So you're both telling your own truth and your own reality, and they're not identical because your filters are not identical. So this is the power of our mind. We all have our own reality. If we don't like it, we can change it using the tools of NLP, timeline therapy, hypnotherapy. We tend to do a full breakthrough in a 30-day period because when we start working with the neurology and we crack it open and we start rewiring it, we want to do it in a short amount of time for you. And these are beautiful tools that allow for ease and grace and flow as you move forward to becoming the person that you want to become. You don't have to rehash your trauma. Your unconscious mind already knows it. It's been there. We just ask your unconscious mind to go back to that, observe it from above. What are the learnings that you didn't learn at the time? Learn them now, and that allows you to release the emotions attached to that trauma. Beautiful, quick, effective techniques. And if you'd like to know more about rewriting your reality, using the tools of NLP, or getting trained in the tools of NLP, timeline therapy, and hypnotherapy, please reach out to me, Melissa, at yourguidedhealthjourney.com.